By the time you're watching this video, YouTube is going to be flooded with videos with get-rich-quick schemes about how you can grow your business in 2026 by adding more leads, creating more content, or adding AI agents to talk to AI agents. I don't know. But what they're not going to tell you is that the growth they're talking about is top-line revenue. In other words, money that comes into the business, but not necessarily money that you get to keep. But if you want to build profitability, not just revenue, you don't need more shiny gizmos and gadgets. What you need are systems. I want you to think of sales and leads and exposure like water in your business. When you are a brand new business and you are starving in the metaphorical desert, having a little bit of water makes all the difference. And by all means, chase that first client, that first sale, you need it. But for more mature businesses where you regularly have water, you regularly have sales, and you want to grow to the next level, we have to be really careful about how much we add. If we flood your business with sales, or we flood your body with water, you know what happens? You don't grow. You're not nourished. No, you drown. That's what happens. You might double orders, but your turnaround time could drop by 2/3. You might double your orders, but your customer support is so busy that they're dropping balls and cutting quarters. You might double your sales, but your profitability will plummet because you have to get gig workers to help you out because you can't fulfill the amount of orders you've just sold. I've worked with thousands of small business owners at this point to systemize their operations. And yes, having no sales is bad for business, obviously. Overselling can actually burn out your business faster than you might think. So how do you make sure you're growing and not drowning? Well, it comes down to 5 steps that you can go through right now to make sure you are set up for success in this new year. The first step we want to do is make the work that you are doing every day visual. Our goal here is to just make visual the things that are already happening in your business every day. When we work with clients, this is usually an eye-opening experience because I'll have clients who've been working in their business for 35 years. But they don't realize all of the little things that are taking up their time. Now, I know for some of us who are very busy, this idea of visualizing our workload might feel like busy work, but it is incredibly important because it lets you know where you're starting from and what is actually happening in your business. Just to give you an example, when people join my email list, which you can do in the description below, you have the opportunity to suggest what YouTube video I create next. And one of the most common ones that has come in there recently is this concept of how do we get people to change the way they work to make them more efficient when they're so used to things being chaotic and crazy and backlogged and messy? How do we do it? Well, this is the answer to that question, this first step. When we start seeing in pen and paper or on a whiteboard or something similar what exactly we are doing, you are going to bring a new level of awareness and we can start actually changing that to make sure you are prepared for growth rather than setting yourself up for failure. Now, speaking of tracking everything you do, I love physical whiteboards, but one of the challenges with them is it's really easy to accidentally erase things. Similarly to a notebook, I love a notebook, but it's really easy to spill coffee on it. So I prefer to do this first step digitally. I think it works really well long-term, sets you up for scale. And so if you haven't already, using a free task management tool of some kind, such as the ones I mentioned up here, is a really good bet to make sure you're future-proofing here. I know a lot of times software is a bunch of fluff that's not actually going to help you. These tools, I think, are really core. But speaking of fluff, once you start visualizing what you're actually doing, the second step we need to do is to trim the fat. Because if we want to take on more clients, we need to make sure the stuff we're working on is directly what's going to help us serve more clients or customers or products or users or whatever you call the people who pay you money. And so trimming the fat is our next step. Look at the stuff that you've written down that you actually spend your time on and delete the junk. If you can't prove that a specific action you're spending your time on is actually making a return on your investment, meaning you get more from it than it costs you, stop doing it. I'm looking at you, social media. If you cannot say that this thing has gotten me clients, or this thing helps me serve clients, or this thing keeps clients coming back, stop doing that work. That is the best way you can ensure that you can handle more water in the business without drowning. A lot of people are not nearly ruthless enough when it comes to this elimination step because you're afraid of making the wrong decision. And I'm not sure who originally said this, but I think Layla popularized it, who is another person here on YouTube. And it's this idea of two-way decisions. So when you have a decision to make, such as, should I stop posting on Facebook because I've never gotten a client and yet I spend so much time on Facebook? That's a two-way decision. You can stop and you can start again, and there's really no cost of changing your mind. So in those decisions, my suggestion would be opt for the cut option. Cut the stuff back. And if not posting on social media really makes a huge difference to your business, which I doubt it will, then you can go ahead and go back to posting on social media. But you're a smart cookie, and odds are if you're considering cutting something because you don't think it makes a difference, it probably doesn't make a difference. And I say this with experience because social media was the thing for me that I really decided to cut. And it's funny because I was recently at an event with Seth Godin, which was a big deal. It was this thing that he just did for free for a small group of 9 women. And in that event, he pointed to me and he's like, Layla's probably the only person in this room who's figured out how to make social media work for you. Everyone else, you're just working for social media. And it's funny because he said that and he was referring to YouTube stuff. And I'm like, I guess I did. I guess I did finally figure out how to make these algorithms help my business rather than just waste my time. But the only reason this works for me and my business is because I literally don't do anything else. I post a little bit on LinkedIn now, but I don't post on Facebook. I don't post on Instagram. I don't post on TikTok. I've tried in the past years. I used to, but I did this step and I trimmed the fat and I've cut out so much. And if there is content on those other areas, it's reposted. But most places, it's not posted at all because for me, I realized it wasn't worth the time. So I found that comment pretty remarkable from Seth because I was like, I guess I did, but it only worked because I was ruthless about cutting everything else except this one channel. So figure out what that looks like in your business. What touch points, what revisions, what internal meetings, what things can you cut? Because that'll set you up for step 3. And what is step 3, you might ask? Well, step 3 is taking what's left after you cut the fat of the things you don't really need to be doing, and we start standardizing it. And the word standardizing gets a bad rep because people think of it like, we're going to build an assembly line. It's all going to be soulless and cold. No. All I mean here is I want you to think about the main thing in your business that generates value. What do people pay you to do? Okay? What are the steps required to do that thing in the perfect way for your business? That is what we want to standardize, whether it's with checklists, whether it's with templates, whether it's with, a fillable piece of paper that you check boxes off as you go. That is our next step in the journey. Because if we can standardize what excellent looks like, that lets us know how long it takes to fulfill an order, to serve a customer, to onboard a client. We want to figure out how long things take so that we know at what point we're going to drown. And we only can do that if we start standardizing. Here's what excellent looks like. Here's the bar we're not willing to fall behind. And by the way, you can learn more about the standard of care piece of how to outline all of these steps in this video up here about process mapping. This standardization of care is so important because it makes sure, regardless of how you're feeling in a particular day or what you happen to remember, the same quality that you expect happens every time. And I want to encourage you here to be creative if possible. Think about your customer experience and think about what moments could you add to make this moment exceptional. Things like little gifts, little nudges, little check-ins. Adding in those softer moments into a standardized flow is how you keep the soul while being very efficient. We want to keep in mind what our type of customer will actually find valuable and make sure all of those things are in there in that step-by-step list. Whether you're a product business who has inventory or a services business with fulfillment costs, this is a huge step to know because once we know what good looks like, we can start measuring how many of these good job projects can we finish in a given month. This allows us to visualize our capacity and actually measure, okay, here's the point where we start drowning. Because when we add this many clients, steps start getting skipped, or we don't have enough time to do all the steps. This is how we know our drowning point, and we can start adapting and changing to it. To give you a real example here, though, I want to take you behind the scenes at ProcessDriven. Here, we offer a one-on-one service where we systemize people's businesses. And this has 2 parts. Some of it is some execution. We need to set up some things to help your business be organized. But the second and most time-consuming part is we actually train business owners and their operators how to run a business in a systemized way. And the fact is you cannot rush learning. You cannot rush training. You cannot automate this. And so we know from our standard of care that in order to really get someone the results we want, as long as they're doing their work and we're doing ours, it takes this many hours per week over the period of time that we're working with them. We know this because we've defined it. Because we know how long things take, we can actually start doing the math and figuring out how many clients can we handle at one time based on our current capacity, based on the available hours we have. And all of a sudden we can see, Here's when we need to sell more, and here's where we need to get more capacity. But wait a second, there is one other step we can do that helps us along this way to make sure we don't drown, but we can also expand capacity, which is to find ways to streamline what we do. We have our standard of care. It takes us so long to do it. We know this because we're tracking it. If we want to handle more customers without drowning, one other option we have besides just waiting or hiring more people is to actually streamline this set list. We know all of this stuff adds value. It's there for a reason. We've proven that to be true. But that doesn't mean it all needs to be done by a human. And this is where AI and automation can actually really help us. If in this flow we see that we're preparing for every meeting, maybe we could standardize our agendas so we don't have to prepare every time. We just have a set agenda that is the same for each client. Maybe in this flow, if we have a step of sending a follow-up after our invoices, maybe we can set up QuickBooks to send that follow-up for us. Maybe in this flow, if we're manually creating Google Drive folders for each client, we could use Zapier to set up that Google Drive for us. Maybe in this flow, if we're answering client questions, maybe we could create an AI bot that attempts to answer the question first, so only if the AI couldn't answer it, the question comes to us. These are all examples of how we could take our standards of care and automate things. As long as it doesn't compromise the quality of the work, automation and streamlining and AI, which I know I tend to be a little bit of a wet blanket on, these are great things to add here. When it comes to delegating to AI or automations, treat it just like you would delegating to a human. If it's the right fit for that tool to do, have them do it. But don't just try to go to a blank slate and think, what could AI help me with? Because that's a recipe for procrastination, wasted time, and tinkering. AI tirades aside, you have a choice this year. Do you want more sales or do you want more profit? Recognizing that more sales when you don't have capacity to fulfill it might burn you out, hurt your reputation, lead to clients getting worse results. Do you really want that? No, of course not. Your New Year's resolution is more profit in your business, and that's mine as well. So if you're serious about rolling these ideas out to your team, one section at a time, not just in fulfillment, but across the entire company, watch this video here on the end screen for the ultimate guide to systemize your business for next year and beyond. Until then, enjoy the process.